Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today we're going to use the Accuquilt Go. I've picked out a die, and if you've watched my videos, you've probably heard me say that at one time I would have loved to have made a postage stamp quilt. Anything postage stamp, but they are so small and I would not have the time or the energy to cut out 1-inch squares. Well, actually it'd be 1.5 because, you know, when you put your 1/4-inch seam, the little square becomes 1 inch. But I went through my dies and sure enough, I have one. So that's what I'm going to introduce today. Let me show you the fabrics. And we're going to be using this right here. That's the fabrics we're going to use. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that it is on the window. I'll go ahead and I'll make it big enough to fit for the window, but then if I end up saying, oh gosh, I really like it for something else, I'll change it. But I like the way I think that the light would come through the window. Now I'll put a plain white backing on it if I go ahead and use it in the window. So let's take a look at the die. I'm going to try to keep this at an angle so that light overhead does not blind us. This is what it looks like. It cuts 5 strips. And 1.5, see it up in the corner, that's the number. If anybody interested in getting it, I'm trying to get the glare off here, let's lift it up, there we go. And then it also has some angled guidelines. But here's what it looks like. And it's one of those long, there you go, dies. So the 60, the 45, the 30, here's the 90 up here. And now I've never used the die before. So we're going to do a couple of practice sheets. And what I'm going to do, now you know that's 2.5-inch strips. These become 2 1/4. Not 2 1/4, I'm sorry. I misspoke. 1.5. And I've got some leftover fabric right here that Megan used in her project. And before I do any kind of ironing or anything, I'm going to try one with this, so I can see how well it does. Now, just for the future reference and for yourself, if for some reason you have a problem when you lay out your fabric, even if you've starched it or whatever, and you put it on there, and it's not cutting correctly because it won't stay down and hold its shape, you can always put a piece of paper. Yes, you can cut paper with these dies. Okay, you can put it over the top of it, which will help it, sort of like a stabilizer, but it's not going to be attached to this. So I'm going to try it with this first by itself just to see if it will work. Otherwise, I'm going to need to iron all of my strips. Now I've positioned 3 pieces on here. I have this one folded, and then this was just laying on top. Don't forget, you've got to use a mat when it comes to this. And in this case, actually, I can use a smaller mat. Let me get it. All right, here's the mat that I just got. Keep in mind, wherever I lay this mat down on here, that is when the blades, and there are 3 of them right here. If I keep it like that, there'll be 4. So here's a blade, a blade, a blade, and a blade. Then it will cut up against this mat. If I take the mat and I move it to the edge, it's only going to hit the blade here and here. So it's 2 places. And this is what I'm going to do. It does not hurt your machine. As a matter of fact, I have pushed it through to get it started. I should have went a little bit further over that direction, but that's okay. And it hasn't cut any of this area up to here. And let's see what it did. Make sure you're in the camera. Okay. There we go. I didn't do it on the edge here. Let me get my scissors, because I didn't want to waste. This is where the salvage is, so I wouldn't be using that anyway. I would be cutting that off. But here we go. There's one piece, and then here is a longer piece. Now, the next thing I want to do, because I know this isn't my square, this is strips. So let's see. And this is the first time I've done this. So we're going to take it, we're going to fold it just like we did before. Let's see, here's the selvage. You can see it right there where the little holes are, so we wouldn't be using that piece. So I can cut that off just to get rid of it for our presentation here. Alrighty. Now I'm going to lay it this direction. And keep in mind, let me get my ruler because I didn't look to see. See, here's a knife here, but I don't know the distance from here to the outer edge. And it looks like it is not 1.5, so that won't be a big enough strip. This would be a smaller strip. So it's only going to cut here, 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 here. So if you wanted to, you could actually pull it down like this. And let me get this here to put it on there. So let's feed this through. And sure enough, there we have it. So here are all our little squares. Right there. And you know that you can put 6. So you can get 30 strips because there's 5 little areas of cutting. And then when we go this direction, you can lay a strip, each strip this direction, and it'll automatically cut it for you. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I know this fabric was ironed. I thought it was a little less. I'm trying to think if I have a piece of scrap over here that's wrinkled, but I think it's going to be better off to iron them because the cut is a lot better. And it's a real nice smooth cut. And so then you're just going to stack them up and use them however you want in your quilt, your curtain, whatever you're going to be doing. So let me go ahead and get this package undone. I really like that yellow that's on the back side there. That looks really nice. Let me show you some of the colors that we're going to be working with. Get my package opened here. This is an old set of strips that I bought. I can't even remember when I bought them. This is Hoffman fabric. I don't know if you can still get this fabric or not. But that is some pretty strips. And of course these are batiks. I like batiks. Wow, look at this green right there. Look at that. Isn't that a nice green? Let's go through some of these colors. Put you down a little further. There we go. Look at that. Those are really some nice looking colors. Ooh. Can you imagine the light going through that on the window? See, by backing it with the white fabric, it'll keep these fabrics nice and vibrant. And then you won't lose your color. Of course, if you're not going to use it on your window, you know, they would even be pretty as any kind of blanket. There we go. That's a nice marble effect there with that blue color right there, that blue and that green. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There's so many different colors. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. That's pretty with the squares. That almost looks like scissors, the way it's crisscrossing X's. Look at Oranges are so deep and vibrant. It looks like there's almost one of every color here, doesn't it? Those are just beautiful, beautiful. Even this is a little different than this one here. A little lighter and darker. Gosh. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Let me get them over here. I'll run the iron on them real quick, and then we'll lay them out and get it going. I wanted to show you all the colors spread out. That's what they look like. There's 40 different colors. Although those two right there yellow look the same, they're not. See, normally you get these bundles where there's 2 or 3 are the same. But in this set, none of them are the same. And that's what I was trying to do when it came time to making this. Because it's already going to be a whole bunch of multiples. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't twice as many of one. Twice as many of one as there is of another. I've got them all laid out here on the table. So let me get them ironed. Okay, so you have to separate them in rows, because if you put them all up against each other, you'll have more than the required 6 at the maximum to be cutting. So there we have those 3. And then for all those to keep these little scraps, for dog beds or whatever you keep them for, set them aside, because you'll have a whole bunch out of here. And then what I'm going to do is, before I line them up this way, I will make sure that I cut them so that they're right length, and then I can get as many as I'll put as many as I can up along that edge to cut them. Now I'm going to go ahead. I've taken these sets that I did. I lined them up off of the frame here. I tried to line them up a little bit hanging over. Maybe I can get another one out of it. I'm not sure. But I know that they all get caught on that side. I'm going to put it in. And then I'll put my pad. Oops, wait a second here. That off. Whoops, that didn't work too well, did it? Anyway, here's all my little squares. And I'm not sure. I guess I should be putting them in piles. So I will set them up in piles, and when I get done, I'll show you what I got. Okay? Besides this mess right here. This is how I had my board set up with all my little pieces cut out. There's no rhyme or reason. I just put them in stacks of colors. I went ahead and cut up some white strips. Now, these strips came in I think they were called the little mini jelly rolls, where they're already 1.5 inches, so I only had to cut them sideways. Did it with my machine. Here is the block that I've got so far. It's not very big. Let me put it over here on the corner to give you a better idea. So this is my 1 inch. So it's 12 inches. And it is about 6 1/4, not quite 6 1/2, about 6 1/4. So that's all I've got done so far. And Saturday, when Becca does the Zoom for the 5 hours, I'm going to sit and do a whole bunch of these. But so far, I like the way it's turned out. It's pretty neat. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.